With contract updates and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. For a recap and update on recent accusations leveled at WWE, Ringside News wrote that a recent Rolling Stone article titled "Inside the WWE Writers' Room, A Kingdom Ruled by Fear" has garnered significant attention, offering a revealing look into the culture within WWE. The article, which includes interviews with multiple former WWE writers, paints a troubling picture of the company's internal environment. The Rolling Stone article raised serious allegations about WWE, claiming that Vince McMahon fostered a hostile environment among writers. It reported that female members of the creative team experienced inappropriate behavior from colleagues, which was allegedly overlooked by human resources. The article also mentioned that WWE writers often found themselves working late into the night, with creative meetings starting as late as midnight due to delays in waiting for McMahon. While speaking on Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer talked about the article and revealed that a WWE creative team member felt the piece downplayed the reality of working with McMahon. Meltzer noted that the article made McMahon seem kind of crazy, but insisted that the actual situation was much worse. He recalled that Thursday night meetings frequently extended until 3 a.m. or later, with writers waiting for hours before the meetings even began. It made Vince out to be kind of crazy, but yeah, it's all known. I actually heard from somebody in creative about that, and it was kind of like, boy, they went light on it, and I go, yeah, the reality was actually far worse. I remember when it was routine when they would have the Thursday meetings, and those things would go on until 3 a.m. and often later, often 3:30, maybe even 4 a.m. 3 a.m. was kind of normal on a Thursday night, and they're sitting there waiting to talk to Vince for hours, and then at midnight the meeting starts. Former U.S. President Donald Trump said this on the Undertaker's 6 Feet Under podcast. "You know, he was great. I never thought he liked me. I felt badly because I think he's a terrific guy." Then Dana White said, "When I was shot to the ear, you may have heard about it, Rock called Dana and said, I want to have his number. What he did is sort of incredible. He considered it bravery. It was very nice actually, The Rock. You might mention that I said that." With him having been out of action from AEW due to injury since December, Keith Lee gave an update writing on X, "I certainly don't see them all, but I've seen many. I must take the time to say thank you, and I must take the time to tell you we are not done. Hang in there just like I am. Whatever it is, the time will come. Let's move forward. Oh, and don't forget to go vote." Mentioning new rules that could be placed upon AEW and New Japan Pro Wrestling talent, Ringside News wrote that at AEW's Forbidden Door event, Stephanie Vaquer impressed the world with her performance, and this got her on WWE's radar, ultimately leading her to signing with WWE. Vaquer chose to relinquish both the CMLL Women's Tag Team Championship and the CMLL Women's Championship, citing personal reasons that also prevented her from participating in Fantastica-Mania. According to Fightful Select, reactions from the wrestling industry suggest that Vaquer won't be returning to the Mexican wrestling scene and left on good terms. Sources in AEW noted that she made a strong impression during her feud with Mercedes, but they suspected WWE had contacted her soon after Forbidden Door, with the speed of the transition surprising many. While AEW insiders recognized WWE's desire for top talent, they questioned the decision to pull Vaquer from CMLL dates before she could relinquish a title. However, her quick transition to WWE Mexico shows helped ease some criticism, as it demonstrated a more organized approach than simply signing her away. So far, WWE seems pleased with Vaquer, and she appears to be enjoying her time there. Sources from NJPW and AEW believe that future talent participating participating in Forbidden Door or co-promoted AEW events might need to agree not to join WWE immediately afterwards, although this has not been officially confirmed. As for Stephanie Vaquer now, she made her debut during the October 8th episode of WWE NXT, where Vaquer teamed up with Julia and took out Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade, and will then team up with Julia to face Perez and Jade at NXT Halloween Havoc this month, so fans are excited for Vaquer's future in NXT. Sharing how influential his brother, the late Bray Wyatt, was in choosing members of the Wyatt Sicks faction in WWE, Bo Dallas told USA Today, "Everything that's going on up to this date and then going forward, if it's not Wyndham's idea, it has a piece of Wyndham's idea in it. He wanted to work with them. He handpicked them for reasons almost unknown to me, like you just saw something and felt something in them." Talking about the greatest wrestler of all time, Kevin Nash noted on his Click This podcast, "My whole thing is, it's just like, who's the greatest of all time? It's just like, absolutely there's the 1A and 1B, whether you're a Flair guy or you're a Hogan guy, and then there's the business aspect guy, and I say that the best run of anybody would be Triple H from all standpoints of the business. There's no comparison. I think one of the reasons is because he's so good at what he does on a daily basis. As soon as he got his hands on the controls, changed. The product became, it was just night and day. Then Vince almost tried to kibosh it and then went through all that again. I think at that point, if it wouldn't have went the way it did, I think Paul would have walked. Steph already had. We never had the conversation, but I know Paul. I've talked to Paul about some other things. I know about other information that made me feel really good when I heard how Endeavor, TKO, felt about Paul." Touching on the reason he signed with AEW, former WWE star Shelton Benjamin said this to Gabby AF. "I did have a few offers. MLW was very interested. I was doing a lot of international things and exploring other options in and out of pro wrestling. Acting is one of them. Even things like real estate and things not related to wrestling. It basically boiled down to, I like to put myself in the best possible position to succeed. When the door closed at WWE, I really thought long and hard about where I wanted to go. Impact was a very tempting place to go. What it boils down to is I want the biggest possible audience. Outside of WWE, there is nowhere bigger than AEW. I don't have as much time as a lot of guys as far as in ring. Not that I'm going to retire anytime soon, but for the time I have left, I want to reach the biggest possible audience. What better place than AEW? There is no better place." Explaining how talent in WWE were pressured to agree to certain segments, former writer for the company Vince Russo told Piers Morgan Uncensored, "As a writer, I could have never written any of our female characters in that position because they couldn't have said no. They would have had to say yes because it was with Vince McMahon, and they would have thought if they didn't do this, they were going to be fired. He put all of those females in a situation where they could not say no because they felt like their job was on the line." Confirming the location for an upcoming NXT show, it was said that WWE Today announced WWE NXT will take place on Wednesday, November 6th from the 2300 Arena, formerly the ECW Arena in Philadelphia. Tickets will go on sale tomorrow, October 22nd at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific via 2300arena.com. Revealing how his appearance for AEW at the company's recent pay-per-view came together, former WWE star Rico noted on his Stylin' podcast, executives from AEW called and they said their tag team, Eminem Collection, needed my guidance because they were going against the Acclaimed, and guess who was Acclaimed's manager? Saggy-ass Billy Gunn, my old client. The largest disappointment of my entire illustrious career. When I heard that, I was on the plane. They sent a private plane, I got on that, flew to Seattle, and started working with Mason and Mansoor, getting them all ready. Then we're having the match, and then things got crazy, everybody spilled out, and my guy was reaching. Mansoor was reaching in the ring. I just went in the ring, I didn't do anything, but I was trying to pull him up to get his momentum, possibly to get a good count-out victory. So I was pulling him in, and I slipped, and unbeknownst to me, Billy Gunn snuck up behind me, and he was in the ring with me. We're not supposed to wrestle. He's telling me all this stuff, and I went, wait a minute, you're disrespectful. So I went to spin kick him. He was quick. He caught my foot, kicked me in the gut, and he gave me the Fame-asser. He had the audacity to Fame-asser me, saggy ass Billy Gunn. For more details on a recent passing, Ringside News wrote that the wrestling world was saddened by the death of Joe Koff, who was 73 years old. Koff was the former chief operating officer of Ring of Honor during its time with Sinclair Broadcast Group. He played a big part in helping ROH grow and become more important in the wrestling industry. Joe Koff had been privately battling cancer for some time. In August, he made the tough decision to stop treatment so he could focus on spending quality time with his family. Koff played a key role in convincing Sinclair Broadcast Group to purchase Ring of Honor when it was still an independent promotion. Koff became the chief operating officer in September 2011 and helped ROH grow by getting its TV show aired weekly across the US through Sinclair's channels. Under his leadership, ROH became the second largest wrestling promotion in the US and hit a major milestone by hosting a joint event with New Japan Pro Wrestling at Madison Square Garden in 2019. During Koff's time, stars like Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks became big names in ROH, and he also supported their independent All-In pay-per-view event in 2018. He kept ROH running during tough times, including the launch of AEW in 2020, which took away key talent and the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic when shows were held without fans. However, after the pandemic, ROH struggled financially, and in 2022, Koff sold the company and its tape library to AEW president Tony Khan. According to PW Insider, Joe Koff's funeral services will be held this afternoon in Maryland as he will be laid to rest. Earlier this week, the pro wrestling world paid tribute to Koff as well. Joe Koff's impact on the wrestling world will always be remembered. He built a lasting legacy rooted in respect, passion, and dedication to professional wrestling. His contributions have made him one of the most important figures in the industry, and his influence will be felt for years to come. During a recent performance, Usher could be seen dressed as the Undertaker. Addressing his Legends deal with WWE, Rob Van Dam said on his one-of-a-kind podcast, RVD addressed the confusion, explaining that people often assume he's confirming something when he interacts with comments online. He clarified that the Legends deal he referred to was signed back in 2021, not recently, and that he hadn't made any new agreements with WWE. Speaking about the possibility of facing off against the Motor City Machine Guns in WWE, Jey Uso told Metro, "I would like to, and if I did go with the Motor City Machine Guns, I would like for my brother to do it with me. I would like to do it with Jimmy because I feel like with Jimmy, Sami Zayn is easy too, but I feel like with Jimmy, man, we are the best tag team in the world. We've done everything, but I feel like if we did have a comeback, man, I would like to run with those guys, Shelly and Sabin, a couple guys from NXT, maybe the Lucha Bros, but they gotta walk through this door." Confirming that he is under a contract with AEW, Sting said this in an interview with The David Difference. "I signed a multi-year deal with AEW, obviously not to wrestle anymore, but it's like a licensing deal, a Legends deal if you want to call it that. So I'll do appearances with them on and off depending on what they want and all. I've done real estate. I did real estate before I ever was a pro wrestler. So I've always loved real estate. A lot of people say, oh, are you a real estate agent? No, I'm not an agent. I'm an investor. I was flipping houses before flipping houses was a term. So I made money in real estate before wrestling. So I'm doing that again and I love it." During that same interview, Sting said this about the end of his run with WWE. "I did leave it open-ended pretty much. I didn't want to retire at that time. It was kind of a mutual deal with WWE at that time. Vince McMahon wanted me to retire under his umbrella, and at that time, I was okay with that." And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all later.